Hello, welcome to Tweet the Leader New podcast, where we chat about realistic leadership theories. On today's episode, we're going to be finishing up the conversation with Cape Breton students, and we have the amazing Matilda, who is all the way from Cape Breton, and so it's so amazing to have this conversation with you, Matilda. But before we go into that, just want to check in with the amazing guest co-host Megan McNeil. Megan, how are you? How are things?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I'm excited to interview Matilda. So let's just get into the conversation. Matilda, it's such a pleasure to have you on to this podcast today. I want
It's
you to
a
state
pleasure
your
to be
name
here.
and the school that you go to.
My name is Matilda. My first name is Fakla Fulua, and the school I go to is Sydney Academy.
Awesome, awesome. So Matilda, it's really a pleasure to have you. I want to ask this question: why is leadership important to you?
Leadership is important to me because I come from a place where we have poor leadership and our country is running amok. Like, I want to be a replacement for that. I want to make the place better with good leadership because, like, without that, then what's happening in the world right now with all bad leadership. You have to lead by see examples from good and also bad leadership, and
Wow,
compare to.
that's really amazing. Being inspired to see the good and the bad in order to solve solutions that need to be
Mhm,
solved. And I can
mhm.
see that you will be the upcoming one of those upcoming politicians, someone who's going to advocate change. So you look like an upcoming minister, Matilda, which is pretty awesome. Or MLA, what they call it over here, which is pretty awesome. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Mm.
So
So I'm
Megan,
going to, yeah. Do you
yeah,
want
so
to?
you have a question, so you can go ahead. Sorry, I know you was gonna go ahead, so go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So my follow-up question is, what would make you stand out in your school or community? Is there anything that you do that you feel makes you stand out from the rest?
Mm, to be honest, it's just it's actually being a good leader. Actually, yeah,
Mhm.
because my school isn't really the best,
Mhm.
but um, yeah, if I actually put out like good points to better the school, then it would be like, yeah, people would see me and go like, yeah, that's correct. That would actually work, right?
Yeah.
So,
So like having a voice within your school
hmm
is something you. Awesome.
hmm
That's really good. Is there any like three qualities that you would have as a leader that you could voice to the audience?
that the qualities I have as a leader, I'm trying to work on currently: confidence,
Mhm.
Yeah.
um, being well mannered,
Mhm.
and being being like self not home trained. Yes,
Yeah.
Mm.
like,
Awesome.
if a leader, they come from a place where nobody is, you know like, you
Mhm.
can tell, like, oh, this person is a good kid, they come from a good family, they must be a good leader, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and that's good that you're reflecting in that way. It's very important that yes, these were some hurdles, and that's and leaders have to be that way of acknowledging things in order to improve, in order to make wise decisions and wise choices. And we,
Mhm.
for you being very vulnerable and humble to say that these are the things that you're working on, I give kudos to you on saying that because that's amazing. Because some people don't acknowledge those things, and so that's really awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So going into just standing up for what you believe in, have you ever been judged for standing up for yourself?
Yeah, yeah, many, many, many times, all the time. Like, to be honest, everything that you stand, there's always going to be opposition. That's what you have to. Maturing is learning that everything that you believe in, anything, it could be like simple things like, oh, you have to drink water every day, there would be opposition.
Mm. And that's just a prime example. Yeah, there will always be opposition in your life. But in order for you to move forward, you have to just yeah let them talk. But sometimes you listen and take their advice. But sometimes
Mhm.
you have to make the decision for yourself. Wow, this is
Mhm.
really amazing, Matilda. I might have you back onto the podcast because you have some insightful thoughts to bring to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming in and bringing your knowledge
Thank
of
you for
leadership and
having me.
sharing your way of leadership. Megan, how was this episode?
I loved it. Really, really good.
Yeah, it was really insightful. It was very detailed and also being raw and direct and stating not hiding anything but being very vulnerable in that way. So Matilda, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. When you are in leadership, you have to stand up for what you believe in. When you're in leadership, you have to yes, you have to grow, you have to reflect, you have to actually state things that needs to be said in order for change to happen. And so Matilda, you
Mhm.
did just that. You stood what you stood some things, you said some things, and you stood your ground and what you believe in. That's really important in order for us to move forward. So thank you so much, Matilda, for
Thank
coming
you
onto
for having
this
me.
podcast. And we'll see you at the next episode, people.